this stage. Stage 19, Reflective Rebecca. There we go. Act 1, a plant that is not vulnerable to anything except blind, who cares, and interrupt. And the stage 2 is the same. Now, there's something spicier going on in Act 2. We're not going to run into it with the solution we use. Okay, so if we wanted to think about this, what's going to happen, she's called Reflective Rebecca because she puts up a magic barrier as soon as she's pulled. That's going to reflect magical damage, so we need to use mostly physical spells here. So to find your physical spells, you sort the book by slashing, piercing, blood, and you have a bunch of options here. Drill Cannon is on the overworld, so that's a really easy one to find. Sharpened Knife is casts fast and it's fun. You could also bring something like Goblin Punch if you have that. I'm gonna stick with Sharpened Knife. You could think about like Abyssal Transfixion. It says it applies a paralysis, but we did observe that the boss is not vulnerable to that, so that might not be quite as useful. If you're a little spooked about being close to the boss, you might not use it. But the other thing we want to do, we could bring a good old spell, Triple Trident. And the recommendation in the guide is to finish the boss with a Final Sting. Okay, so we have Final Sting. We have Whistle, which is going to be good for buffing Final Sting, and also Triple Trident. Normally we pair Triple Trident with Tingle, but because the boss puts up a magic barrier early on, that is going to prevent us from using too many spells before that cast bar completes. So what I recommend instead is actually using a dot. Just using Bristle and a dot like Song of Torment, or if you have it, Breath of Magic, which is stronger. But I'll use Song of Torment to show you don't need Breath of Magic. And here we go. I'm gonna go in. Alright, so before pull Bristle, I'm gonna apply the dot. This will cause the boss to start doing the reflection cast, so I'm just gonna go up. Oh. I didn't use Whistle there. I was thinking about stage 2 already. I'll use it on Triple Trident. Yeah, get out of the way. Let me just stab this boss down on the stage. Just let the dot do its job. With we can read that. With just knife spam, we will get the boss down right just in time for the dot to go away. Okay. Now, second stage, the boss is going to have more hit points. And the guide says we have a 55% or so sting threshold. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the same trick as before. We're going to Bristle and apply Song of Torment before the magic barrier goes up. But to sweeten the deal, we are going to use Off Guard, which is weird as a spell because it doesn't interact with your regular GCD, so you can use it as a weave. It just has a cast time. So imagine Off Guard as being like an ability with a cast time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to Bristle, Off Guard, pull with Song of Torment, Whistle for Triple Trident, do the stab, stab. We're looking for 55% here. And then we're going to Whistle Final Stab. Get out of there. Boom. Oh, that was a crit direct. 21k. Probably could have stung much earlier, but we can't guarantee the crit Final Sting. And that's the stage. That is it. And there you go. That gets you 10 stages done, which means you can go over to the Blue Mage NPC, ask for a totem, and you will have Moon Flute. There it is. And what Moon Flute does, it's your 2-minute burst button. You can use it more often than 2 minutes because it's a spell, not an ability, so it's not on a 2-minute timer. And there are reasons to use Moon Flute more frequently than 2 minutes. But for the most part, most of the time Blue Mage will be using it once every 2 minutes because, like other jobs in the game, you have a lot of buttons that are on 2-minute timers. But the way this works is a little bit different to other burst buttons because it has a hard cutoff. When you cast it, you will have 15 seconds of every bit of damage you do being increased by 50%. That's spells and abilities, which is stronger than Bristle because that only affects spells, or Whistle, which also only affects spells. So when you get Blue Mage OGCDs, Moon Flute will affect those, whereas Bristle and Whistle will not. It also increases movement speed by 30%, which is just kind of nice. Lets you scurry around. But after that 15-second duration, you are going to have 15 seconds where you cannot cast, you cannot auto-attack, like it matters on Blue Mage. You can't use weapon skills, you don't have any, you're a caster, and you can't use abilities. You can use sprint, and you can use potions in Waning. So you could use a health potion if you're doing a Carnival stage, and you're in Waning and taking too much damage. That's fine. But the hard cutoff of Moon Flute is something to get used to, and because it's essentially 30 seconds of fight time, 15 seconds of boosted damage, and then 15 seconds of zero damage, you want to make sure that when you use it, you have a lot of damage to pack into that window so that it's worth it. So that's where your big damage wants to go. And the big thing that Blue Mages struggle with at first is getting everything into that window, because that's not a lot of GCDs. The more OGCDs you have to weave in between your GCDs, the easier it's going to be to use Moon Flute. But overall, Moon Flute is going to let you finish the following Carnival stages much more easily. And look, while Waning is active, my bars are gray. I can sprint though. And I can drink a potion, I can eat food, I can use curatives, but that's all I can do. Alright, moving on to the next 10.